Update on telling my parents that they could buy my forgiveness. Original post. My parents expected me to be independent the minute I turned 18. They gave me the money they had saved up for my education, and they started charging me rent. I was lucky enough to have a partial scholarship, and I found a job in the city my university was in, so I moved there before the school year began. With my parents' money, my scholarship, and my wages, I was able to scrape by. I rarely, if ever, spoke with my parents. I was kind of busy. I guess they decided that they didn't want that kind of relationship with my younger siblings because they were not presented with the same option. They both lived at home all through university and even afterwards. I am 34 now, with a decent job and a great girlfriend whom I will be marrying this summer. I sent my parents and siblings an invitation. They called me to ask why they were not involved in the wedding. I responded that they hadn't really been part of my life in 16 years and that I was being nice by inviting them. They said that they acknowledged they made mistakes when I was young, but that it was in the past and I should get over it. Against my fiancé's advice, I sent them an itemized bill for everything I paid for myself that they freely gave my brother and sister. I said if they wanted to be a part of my life, they had to ante up. They said they couldn't afford that because they're still in debt from helping my siblings out. I laughed at that and said I hoped I'd see them at the wedding, then hung up. My family are all getting a hold of me to let me know how much I'm hurting my parents. The thing is, I don't want their money, and I don't want anything from them at all, other than their attendance at my wedding. If they can't do that, then I'm fine with our yearly phone call. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments before reading the update. Info. What kind of rent were they charging? Was it something you obviously couldn't afford, even when they gave you money, or a fairly reasonable amount? That information determines whether or not they basically kicked you out at 18 or just wanted you to understand finances a bit better and maybe have a small bill to pay to prepare you for larger bills you'd have to pay. They gave me $5,000 for school, but then wanted $500 a month for rent. I wasn't planning on working while I was in university, so they would have gotten their money back in under a year. They did not make my siblings pay rent, and they helped them with loans for their education. I got a job and have been paying my own way since I was 18. One of my siblings still lives at home rent-free. He is 26. Well, considering they're broke now, maybe you can see why they treated you the way they did. They didn't or don't have the money to do what you ask. The only reason your siblings are getting better treatment is because you disowned your parents, and now they're choosing to be broke instead of risking your siblings disowning them. I didn't disown them. I had no time for anything except work and school for 4 years. Then I started a demanding career I enjoy and was spending my time with people I like. They made very little effort to see me either. Call it conscious uncoupling. Info. When you say you barely spoke with them, was it your choice or theirs? Did they try to call you regularly or visit you when you first moved out? What was the relatives, ones who are criticizing you, position in all these years? In any case, sending a bill to them when you don't want money is a whole move. Your feelings are justified and you first need to decide if you even want a relation with them now. If so, be an adult and ask for things that you actually want, like a monthly lunch or something. I don't want anything from them. The reason we don't talk is because I fell out of the habit being a full-time student with 2 part-time jobs, and needing the occasional nap and bathroom break took all my time up for 4 years. Now for the update 2 years later. I posted a couple of years ago about my parents being upset that I didn't make them a bigger part of my wedding. This was after a decade and a half of us barely speaking, and all of us being okay with the state of our relationship. They did end up coming to the wedding and then leaving afterwards, which was great and exactly what I wanted from them. My younger sister just got married, and I was invited. I don't mind my sister, so my wife and I made a trip of it with my wife's mom. That way, we had childcare for our son and could have a nice visit to my hometown, which I rarely visit. It was a child-free wedding, which was fine by us. However, my wife still needed to take a couple of breaks to pump. We had a cooler for the milk so it wouldn't go to waste, and this caused another crap show. My parents were upset that I didn't bring my son to the wedding, a child-free wedding they were helping to pay for. I just laughed and said we could get together before we went home. But this wasn't good enough. They said we had to bring him to the gift opening the next day. Pass. We had plans. I told them this and they were mad that we were just coming to the wedding and not visiting. We do not have that kind of relationship. They have only seen my son once since he was born. They've gone on 3 overseas vacations in that time. They both earn good money and have time to travel. They just choose to spend their time and money in other ways other than seeing him. I'm not sure how to convey to them that we are related but not really all that close anymore. I love them and such, but in an obligatory way. They're my parents. Anyway, that's about it. They seem to have forgotten my facetious offer to sell them my forgiveness. Oh yeah, my brother still lives at home, rent-free. He has a full-time job as a teacher. Not the a-hole. Weren't they in debt? If they wanted to see your child, they would. You don't owe them anything. They said they were. I have not forbidden them from seeing the boy. Don't be shocked to find that you, and not your siblings or their own savings, are their retirement plan. That's not going to happen. Oh my God, this guy laid out exactly what my mom's relationship has been with me. We had this distance because they kicked me out at 18 and then didn't put effort into seeing me. My mom recently died and I've been struggling with a lot of weird feelings. I have some guilt for not being more upset, but this guy laid out why I don't. We just weren't all that close anymore. God, I was worried I'm a psychopath. Hey, I was in the same situation because I was always independent. My parents forced me to be. I've been in charge of cleaning and cooking since I was 14 and moved out when I was 17. I paid for my college, my car, and my living expenses. I worked like hell and only slept for 4 hours a night for 6 years. My first car cost $800 in 2013, and it broke down during snowstorms. I had to walk home in a storm for 30 minutes. Meanwhile, they babysit my brother, pay full for his tuition and living expenses. He never had to cook for himself. Yeah, the damage was done. I cut them off. I told them how differently they treated us. However, my mom tried to work on it. She gave me her full savings, her retirement fund, and paid for my home down payment. She still works now, even though she's 65. She's very healthy. Do I need her money? Of course not. But it proves how much she regrets things and how much she wants to repair the relationship. I still took the money though. I accepted the home payment because it was meant to be my college fund. But her retirement and bank account, I invested it so she could have a decent amount of money when she can no longer work. I used that money for her travel and wellness checkups. So there are no excuses for your parents. Your feelings are valid. And if they still ignore and double down on the damage, it means they only care about their reputation, not about you. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not letting my parents join us for Mother's Day so they could meet and get to know my kids? I, 39 male, have 4 children with my wife, 37 female. My wife nor my kids have ever met my parents or my siblings. I have been no contact for about 20 years now, and while that was technically broken by my parents reaching out and me responding, I sent 3 replies to their messages and that was it. So this was by no means intended to be a return to contact. However, they wanted a relationship with me and with my children, and they asked if we could spend Mother's Day together. They offered to host or come to mine and my wife's house if we didn't want to travel with the kids. I said no, but they held on to the hope or expectation that I would say yes. I did not. They were contacting me all day yesterday until I went and blocked them. A relative had passed on my contact info to them, and I spoke to the same relative last night, and she came down hard on me for denying the chance for a reunion, and for refusing to let them come meet my kids and get to know them. She said it's not thinking of my kids. I don't agree, but I'll explain background now and see if you agree with the relative and my parents. Background for those who need to know more info in order to give a verdict. I was born to younger parents. They were 19 and 20 when I was born. They were not good parents to me. I can't even say they were okay. They weren't very warm, weren't affectionate or caring, and I was made to feel like a burden. The reality was, I existed in the same house as them, but they could ignore me for days at a time without saying a word to me. They didn't make sure I was eating and sleeping. It was only kinda common for them to make sure I made it to the bus stop, and that stopped once I was considered big enough to get myself out the door. Homework problem? Better go somewhere else for help, or say screw it and let the teacher yell. I learned how to forge their signatures on homework and stuff from school that needed a parent's signature because they weren't about to do it for me. I was 14 before they had more kids, and my siblings were kids they wanted. They turned into completely different people. They were loving parents who were far more involved, far more supportive and affectionate and caring. They did speak to me more after this shift in their personalities, but they did not step up as my parents. I still couldn't go to them with any problems. They didn't know or care if I ate or went to sleep at a good time. They still didn't involve themselves in my education. They never talked post-high school with me, and my guidance counselor tried to bring them in on the discussion, but their go-to excuse was they had 2 small children at home. There were no more days at a time of not speaking to me, but really they didn't have conversations with me. They'd say some things, and occasionally I'd be asked a question about how things were going or whatever. And during all that, I got to see them being parents to my siblings that they were never willing to be for me. Back then it hurt a lot, and for a few years after I went no contact, it hurt too. My decision to go no contact happened as a result of me realizing I'd need to accept them as they are, or go no contact and I couldn't do the former. From what I can gather, the reason my parents reached out is because both of my siblings have stated they do not want children and one or both has been sterilized to prevent themselves having children. So my parents were depressed about it and learned from the relative who gave them my details that I had children. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Wow, I wouldn't blame you. Time to cut off that auntie too. Not the a-hole. The crappy part of this is, it's still not about you. You're only a means to their grandkids. Screw them. They were bad parents, and they'll be bad grandparents. Your kids won't miss much. I wonder if they're the reason why your siblings are child-free. You're right. It's still not about me, their son. And I feel like if either sibling changed their mind down the road and adopted, or maybe found a way to have bio-children, my kids would be tossed aside by my parents. I can't imagine wanting to risk that. You stopped being their son 20 years ago. Stop expecting them to treat you like you're still their kid. You made sure you weren't. They made sure I wasn't. I have never been their son. It hasn't been 20 years. It's been damn near 40. Last story. Am I the a-hole for upsetting my dad's new wife? Because I think she's entitled and or crazy to expect my mom's parents to treat her like a daughter and for me to treat her like a mom? My dad married Maggie 6 months ago. They dated for like 3 years before that. My sister, 11, and I, 17, have known her for like 18 months. And before she moved in about 10 months ago, we only met her a few times. Dad said it wasn't really a priority because Maggie wasn't going to be our new mom or anything, which that was expected by me, and my sister was glad too. Our mom died, but she's still our mom, you know? And I'm not a little kid either. I'll be 18 this summer, and I'll be leaving for college, so Maggie won't ever be a parent to me. But Maggie does not have the same expectations as our dad. That has become clear since Christmas. Maggie was weird about me and my sister going to our maternal family for Christmas Eve, and the fact she and Dad weren't going to. Grandma gave me a letter to give to Dad, and I did once we were home. Maggie expected one too, and when she didn't get one, she looked hurt. But it wasn't a Christmas card or anything like that. It was only a letter. In February, Maggie got very weird with me because she was taking these cooking classes that had parent and child nights once a month. My sister was too young, so she wanted me to come, and she told me it would be a good chance for us to get to spend some time together as mother and son. I didn't want to do them with her, and I said no thanks. But I'm pretty sure I pulled a face when she said she wanted us to get to know each other like that. For a couple of weeks after that, she'd look at me like a sad puppy and was off. Last month was Maggie's birthday, and she wanted to invite my maternal family to the party. None of them wanted to go, and she was upset to the point my sister told me she could hear her crying about it to Dad, and she kept her awake the night she found out. My room's on another floor, so I didn't hear her, but my sister told me she was upset that Mom's family weren't welcoming her into the family. Yesterday, my sister and I went to our maternal family for Mother's Day. Maggie was upset when we got home, and I could hear her telling Dad she was disappointed in him for letting her be treated as less than a daughter by our mom's parents. She told him we should be with her for Mother's Day now too, that it would make more sense and was more expected. Dad told her we wanted to spend the day with our family like we always had. She told him we should have all been there and she should have been included. She said there's enough contact between Dad and Mom's family for her to be taken in as a daughter. Dad came out to us after that and asked us how it went and stuff. Maggie followed us into the kitchen after a little while and asked what we did. My sister was telling her, and Maggie asked if we missed her or if our grandparents or anyone in Mom's family sent her anything. I told her they didn't. She looked totally hurt by that, and I asked her if she really expected Mom's family to treat her like a daughter, and I pointed out Mom was their kid, not Dad, and Mom died. She said she didn't see why they couldn't love her and accept her as another daughter and sister when she's family now. And then I asked her if she really expected me to treat her like a mom, and she didn't even let me finish before saying yes. She told me she was trying to reach out to me like that, and I was being stubborn, and she said I'm never too old to have another mother or parent. I asked her in what world she thought that was possible, and she said it was what she deserved, and she didn't deserve to be treated like she doesn't belong. She said if my mom's family embraced her like she wants, so would me and my sister. I told her that was so entitled. I pointed out I'm almost 18 and will be moving out in a few months, and I told her she's not family to my mom's side. I told her Dad's side need to include her and treat her right, but she never needs to speak to Mom's side. What I said upset her a lot, and Dad told me I should have let it go. She would have pulled herself together if given time. He said all I did was make her feel unwanted and unlovable. I told him she was going to keep expecting more, if after 6 months she hasn't figured out she's not my new mom or Grandma and Grandpa's new daughter. Before I went to the hospital this morning for my annual cardiology checkup, she told me I had really wounded her heart with my words. She told me I should consider that welcoming people with love, and full acceptance is the way everyone should go, and that it's not entitled to want to be a daughter and mother to the people in her family. She was still upset when we got back, and now I'm alone in the house with her. And I can tell she's waiting for me to go and apologize. And she might even expect a hug, but that totally won't be happening. Am I the a-hole? WTF. She's a nut job. WTF was my reaction to a lot of stuff with Maggie. It's just so weird to expect the parents of your spouse's late spouse to treat you like their new kid, or an older kid my age or older to treat you like a new parent. There's being polite. And then there's expecting to be mom and daughter. Your dad really need to talk some sense into her. His family? Yes, they need to accept her. Your mom's family? No, that is absolutely insane to expect. By the way, why doesn't she have kids? And doesn't she have her own parents or siblings or something? I don't know her family background, but she had no family at her and Dad's wedding. Not sure about why she doesn't have kids. I think she'd have wanted them. Maybe she didn't have a longer relationship before Dad or something.